Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. One rental at a time, family. I've got my buddies over at Convoy Mortgage. I'm Matt, the mortgage guy. We're filling in for our buddy Mike Zuber with some updates. I want to talk to you guys because you guys are really entrenched with the investor community. It's something that, like, as a real estate investor myself, I really enjoy. But I'd love for you guys to entertain me and talk to me about all the cool stuff you guys are doing on the non-QM side, because you guys are signed up with, all the lenders that do it. You guys got some of your own, channels where you can get some stuff done that I know other lenders across the country can't do. So yeah, tell me a little bit about, some of the recent stuff you've done on the non-QM side to help out your investor clients.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken a lot on the channel, and you've done, I'm sure, a handful as well. The DSCR loans, and I don't want to bore this channel again with another DSCR topic and where rates are at with our private fund and how to calculate all that. But recently, what John and I have seen more of is a lot of applications for like fix and flip, type loans where they're, 12, 18, 24-month loans where essentially the client's going to buy a property that may be needing a little bit of rehab, and they're going to put a certain amount in so that they can normally either refi out and put it as a long-term hold with higher rents, or they're just going to flip it, which in this market, I am telling clients be very, very cautious of, because flipping in this market compared to flipping a year ago, you may be caught, if you will, holding the bag a little bit longer than you anticipate. And those carrying costs on, 10, 11%, if you will, like fix and flip type products can get expensive. And I don't know, do you get a lot of applications for, fix and flip construction type stuff, or do you?
No, I mean, truth be told, in my network, I've got a lot of great, kind of hard money lenders that do most of that stuff, and they come to me when they want permanent financing. Sometimes it even goes from, hard money to a non-QM, or if they qualify for whatever reason. I'm curious to know from you guys, when somebody gets like a fix and flip product from you guys, is it sometimes turning into like a BRRRR or a long-term hold versus like just using that fix and flip product and then selling it and paying off the debt that way?
Yeah, right now, a lot of our clients are doing, a lot of them go from the fix and flip to DSCR loans or, bank statement loans, typically, because a lot of the people that obviously are using fix and flip to start with don't have the income typically on paper, right? They have the money, but not the income. And right now, I'm sure you've seen it in your market and across the country, but a lot of people that had flips up, they're not flipping, right? So the flips are not flipping. And so in order to save them a little bit, we've been doing either, if it's a dire need situation, we've seen them do short-term to short-term, which we don't recommend, but sometimes it's needed, right? And then, or short-term to long-term, and then hold it for maybe lower the prepay to like 2 years or a year, so that they can hold it for a little longer and not have to worry just in case it goes, past that 1 year point. That way they have at least a 30-year loan and they can do whatever they want with it after, but it buys them more time with a little more stability. So we are seeing a lot of fix and flip go into more permanent financing on the non-QM side. And sometimes, obviously a big reason why people go fix and flip or bridge is because conventional and FHA and VA, when they appraise the property, right, a lot of these properties won't pass the appraisal, right? Period. The underwriter is going to see something on the roof or something on the ceiling, be like, that's a wet spot, you need a roof inspection. And if the escrow is like a 30-day escrow, like, how are you going to have the time to do a roof inspection, get it repaired, replace the thing, paint it over, and then get the appraiser back out there to do the final inspection? So in those cases, which we've seen a lot of, that's kind of where fix and flip and bridge kind of comes into play, where there's inspections to be had and it doesn't pass, but they want the property, they know it's a good deal, and they have an exit strategy after, whether, again, like Dustin said, either selling the property or refinancing it with, conventional, non-QM, wherever, then, that allows them to kind of be able to do that, get the asset, and then worry about it a little bit later. So we're kind of seeing a mixture of everything together. Sometimes starting with long-term, having to go short-term, or short-term, long-term, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple of thoughts on that too, because I had a bunch of investors in my office, and we were just collaborating and masterminding, and they were telling me about their recent experiences. And I think that it's probably something worth mentioning to everybody who's listening. There's a lot of like aspiring real estate investors. I don't want to like detract anybody or whatnot, but make sure you know what you're doing, or you partner with somebody who knows what they're doing. I think it's a season where, like, if I know guys that are flipping every single month and doing great, making money on every single deal, but the ones that, cut corners or don't necessarily know what they're doing, or they, try to, cut margins thinner on deals that aren't great deals up front, you could get burned. And to your point about the different types of financing, I had some that were, buddies of mine. They were going to be flips. And then it's like, okay, I turned it into a short-term rental, and I'm going to put, a 91-day, traveling nurse in there. And then, 3 months from now, more demand might be in the market. Spring buying season might be upon us, and be able to sell it for what I want to sell it for, knowing mid-December, first week of January, it just wasn't going to attract a buyer that was going to make the numbers work for that specific deal. So, yeah, interesting stuff. What else? I know the answer, but I just want to ask it so that other people that might have it, you have an investment property, you're looking to expand your portfolio. So you're listening to things like One Rental at a Time and talking to, Convoy and U Mortgage, non-QM, as a cash out refinance to access some of the capital to go out and do other things. Are you guys doing some of those as well?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the cash out refis that we're doing are coming from, a client that is currently in a hard money or fix and flip, right? They bought it for 200, they put, all cash down, and they put another 60K into rehab, and they think it's worth 450 now, and then they're going to get the cash out refi and get, let's say 300 or 320 of it back, right? Because all of our cash out refis, none of them we're doing for people that have a 3 or a 4 or a 5% and are in a dire situation to get cash to buy another property. At least from what I've seen, all of the kind of necessity inquiries for cash are coming from, hey, I need a second, I need a HELOC, I need some sort of alternative so I don't touch my first. But the ones that don't care are obviously the ones that are in hard money at 9, 10, 11%. Or,
right. Yeah, and they're trying to get all their capital back so they can recycle it and burr. What is, like, on a single family cash out refinance DSCR? This stuff changes so much that I'm asking you guys, because it probably changed since I asked, some of my non-QM lenders about it. Is it 70 for cash out refinance on DSCR?
We actually have it.
We have it up to 80.
Yeah.
Rates worse.
Yeah.
5 rates a little better. 70 is the best. Line drawn in the sand really on cash is right at 70. But if you really need it, 80 on single family. 2 to 4. I know I'm gonna get asked this. Somebody's gonna email John or myself. 75 is the cap, but single family can go up to 80.
Okay. Yeah. And it's interesting too, because you guys that are doing a bunch of it and finger on the pulse, I think between like Home Express, Angel Oak, Remin, and these different AEs I'm talking to, like, I'm seeing a change with one of them every day. Like, I genuinely can't keep up, where I send in a scenario and we're talking through a DSCR purchase on a duplex. The very next day, oh, by the way, it's got to be this LTV because this changed. And then the day after that, things got better on another part of it, where, the rate came down by a quarter or something. So changing quickly, which is another reason to make sure, if you're looking at these products, talk to get the guys at Convoy, somebody who's deep into that stuff versus, your average loan officer across the US. My guess, if they're not working with a lot of investors and they're out doing a lot of these things, they're not, super in the weeds. So any parting thoughts, guys, or should we just leave people with how to get a hold of you?
I have one, because I want to kind of push us as brokers, right? Because I think for a long time, some people still have a negative connotation about brokers, even for non-QM, conventional, wherever. If you guys saw, everyone saw the news, the banks are really tightening up everything, right? So now more than ever, right? People like Matt, people like us that are actually like, I don't even want to call ourselves brokers. I think the better word is advocates, right? For our clients, we're more advocates for the clients because we are shopping for them. We're showing them different options, being able to provide solutions versus like, hey, you have to fit in this box. I think is important because we get a lot of like people on, especially the fix and flip bridge side, because, you know, we were talking about hard money people before. There's a bunch of hard money people and there's someone always willing to lend you money, but it doesn't mean that it is good money that they are lending you, right? So even if you have to pay like an extra point and a half, 2 points even to a broker to be like, hey, am I getting a good deal? Are you guys going to help negotiate a good deal for me? I think that's worth it, right? Because I'd rather pay that. That's a cost I'm willing to pay up front, right? Because if I pay that up front, then that'll save me a year, 2 years, maybe even like 10 years of heartache because you got into a bad loan, right? And brokers like us and you really allow clients to be able to kind of see the options and for us to really advocate, like, you know, that's the word I want to use, advocate for the best product for the client that fits their situation versus having to give them one product. This is it, whether it's good or bad, you're taking it, right? So I think, again, pushing for the broker channel, pushing for you and us. This is, I think it's, you know, the more than ever, this market is more important for us, for anyone to reach out to, you know, people like Convoy, people like Matt, the mortgage guy, where we can actually see these different options and guide you in the right scenario versus just having you go one track minded. I think that's the most dangerous thing you can be in this environment. Like you said, you have to be flexible.
Yeah. And I mean, I've said it before too, like, you know, bless Bank of America and Wells Fargo and the big banks. They were never good at mortgage. So the fact that a lot of them are stepping away from mortgage is a good thing for the consumer. They weren't good at it, you know. And then when you look at, you know, brokers versus some of the traditional, you know, retail lenders, the data is clear. It's about $9,000 less expensive for the average consumer when you work with a broker versus a retail lender. They've got margins in place because they've got Super Bowl commercials, or they've got, you know, big fancy offices that have $70,000 a month lease. Whatever the case may be, like, the data doesn't lie. The you know, it's better, faster, and cheaper. And so, yeah, I'm gonna just continue to beat that drum because it's the truth, and, you know, not just because I happen to be in the broker channel. So to connect with me, go to greatmortgagebroker.com. To connect with the guys at Convoy, how do you guys do that again?
Go to convoyhomeloans.com and let us know you came from ORAT.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Have a good day, ORAT community. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Man.